Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. We are about to get into my Potomac review. This is season 9, episode 7, Hard Launch, Soft Landing. For those of you listening, wherever it is you listen to your podcast, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, all of that good stuff, thank you so much for listening. For all of you that are watching on YouTube at WeGo Podcast, WEIGO Podcast, aka What Else Is Going On Podcast, thank you so much. If you are subscribed to the podcast, I would love on YouTube, I would love for you to subscribe, download the podcast. Um, Again, wherever it is you listen to your podcast and vice versa. If you listen, please come on over to YouTube with me. We have a good old time over there. I don't just do recaps, I talk about all the things. So we go WEIGO podcast, and that stands for What Else Is Going On podcast. Let's get into this review. I came from working to take a break so I could get it out and get it done. So let's go. All right, we start out the episode, Karen watering her flowers. It says 7 days to her court date, child. And we see Kay at her spa, um, you know, talking about the running of things. It's the one that's downtown, that one not far from me. When they showed the spot and the Dunkin' Donuts was next to it, I said, child, I think that's the one off of, I think it's Boston Street, Boston Fleet, one of those. But then we get to Stacy. So Stacy and TJ are at her crash pad in DC. Basically, when her husband, because they're still married, is home with Arabella, she stays at her crash pad that she got in DC. So they are going to paint each other. They're having a painting date with each other. So they are setting the things up to paint or what have you. And Stacy says, this is what people do when they're on dates. TJ says, I know, they have wine. She got all excited and said, would you like a glass of wine? I guess she thought maybe he was abandoning his principles when it comes to drinking. And she had got excited. He said no. Stacy said, you don't drink. And then they started saying together, you don't smoke. And she said, you don't. And he said, sleep with you. And then he said, yes, I said that. He said, that's what I thought you were going to ask. Stacy says, could I ask for that? He said, you can ask, you can ask Santa Claus for a new car. That don't mean you're going to get it. She said, well, that went downhill quick. Let's stop talking about sex. And he said, okay, good. They paint each other. Now they're painting each other for a prize. Before they started painting, she said, winner gets something. He said if he won, he wanted to do a lap around the track with her. And she said she wanted to give him a TJ spa day. After painting, he said, I want to know what's going on with you and your divorce, basically. She said, after a few mediations, they're going to decide who takes what, and then we'll file for divorce. And she says, I will be officially divorced. TJ said he was glad that she was starting the process. In her confessional, she says, I love that TJ has been patient about my divorce and how long it's taking. And when my divorce is final, I can't wait to treat our relationship as a priority. So is she saying she's not treating it as a priority now? I mean, whatever the relationship is. She told him about the girl trip and how they were really laughing. Like they were really laughing at you. Like they couldn't believe it. Like you were playing me. And he said, well, guess what? They think they're making fun of us because I'm trying to follow God. They're not making fun of you and me. They're making fun of God, and laughs. And Stacey's just kind of like, okay, listen, here's my thing. Taking out it being Stacy and TJ. If there was someone who really was like, look, babe, I love you. I see a future with you. I'm really not trying to have sex with you right now until we get married. If that was someone really, truly convicted and committed to that, hey, it's a good thing. Sometimes sex can cloud things, right? Uh, and if I was that person, I wouldn't want somebody to continue to bring it up to me. Like we talked about this. It's hard. And again, see, that's what we're not getting from TJ. It's like he don't want to, not like I want to, but because of what I believe in, I'm really trying to be celibate. Like we can't push this. He's like, no. And almost like, haha. And that's what makes me think both of them are playing in our faces. I know people are like, run, Stacy, run. And further down in this episode, we'll talk about Ashley in her confessional telling her to run. But I don't think she needs to run because I think Stacey knows exactly what's going on. Stacy knows this is her story and it's going to be talked about amongst all the girls, even while she's not there. Hence, Stacy is a topic. She has relevance to the show. Remember, I believe they go in filming not knowing who's going to be a wife. And then they could, at the very end, say, nope, we're making you a friend of, nope, we're making you a wife. Just saying. And Stacy doesn't strike me as the type that's not smart when it comes to this. She can say she didn't watch Housewives before, and she may not have, but she knows the gist of it. You got to have a story, right? Some people may say, well, she'd be willing to embarrass herself. Maybe she don't find it embarrassing. Maybe she finds like she's laughing too behind the scenes. Just saying. Next up, we get to Ashley setting up in her backyard. Karen and Giselle are coming over. Giselle arrives. Ashley says, I really want to do it up for you, Giselle. And Giselle says, I feel special. Ashley says, you are special. But before that, Ashley asked her what she wants to drink, and she had brought out this big thing of drink. She called it a big kahuna, and I guess Giselle never heard of the word kahuna. I thought of party. I'm the big kahuna. Remember that? Side to side. I always know half the words. But anyway, so Ashley tells Giselle she's been drinking olive oil and lemon, and it's good for the skin, and it makes you go to the bathroom. Yeah, okay. But we'll get to why she told her that. So Giselle says, I feel special. Ashley says, you are special. She said, and so is Karen. Segue right on in. Giselle's like, girl, we've really got to talk to Karen because she does have to do some court time. So in her confessional, Ashley says she doesn't necessarily understand Karen's charges, but the courts, the laws, they scare me. I don't know what Karen's fate would be, and I'm genuinely terrified. So Ashley shares with Giselle, she's been drinking olive oil and lemon drink. She said it's good for her skin. You'll definitely have to use the bathroom. She just put her mom onto it, and her mom loves it. She said her mom got news that she has a blockage in her heart. So basically, they're trying to get on top of her health. And she's got to have something done. So Karen arrives in her cute little baby doll dress. Ashley says to Karen, she's just glad to see her smiling because she hasn't seen her since Lake Norman. Karen says it was a lot. She said, to be honest, I was really disappointed in Mia and Jacqueline saying that I came to them for alcohol rehabilitation. Ashley said, well, basically that you needed help. That's what Mia said. Karen said, and Mia is a liar. First of all, Mia herself had a problem with opioids. It's on her YouTube channel. So they showed the clip of Mia talking about it. Karen said, y'all go ahead and look at the YouTube channel. In her confessional, Giselle says Karen is just deflecting, and I pray that this case is going to go in her favor. But this is a stressed out Karen. She's not handling it well. But what you're not going to do is lash out on people. No. Karen says, I'm proud of me. But if you beat at me, if you strike at me, I'm going to strike at you. The bottom line is, guys, let me be real. Karen loves to say that. Let me be real. I have to protect my peace. Giselle says, we know you have a big week next week. How are you feeling? Karen said, let's just be very real. I'm not eating and I wake up at 3 a.m. because I'm scared. This is real. Giselle says, I mean, you're scared because it's a trial. Karen says, I can't talk about it, but I'm hopeful and prayerful. So that's all I can say. In her confessional, Karen says, it's really hard when you want to open up, but legally you can't. But I pay my lawyer. I talk to my Jesus. We good? Okay. So we do know that Karen is, because it does make it seem like she's going to trial. I'm scared. And Karen saying she can't talk about it. What she's doing is going to see if the case will be dismissed, because that's what that was about in June. She wanted the case to be dismissed based off of certain things, like they didn't read me my Miranda right. I never said anything specifically to the cop. I think she was hoping that got dismissed, because mind you, they'd still be filming, and she could be like, see, I told you, my truth would come out. My truth would be revealed. I wasn't guilty, even though, or it was dismissed, even though we know what we know, right? So that's what that was about. Her actual 2-day trial is in December. So this is where Karen deflects, but when I tell you Karen on this show had me gag, she said, wait, let me get, so Ashley says, I hope you know everyone has expressed how we want the best for you. And I know you and Mia had some friction. Ultimately, Karen, everyone really does care about your well being. Karen says, thank you. Giselle says, Ashley and I are here for you. We've known you for a really long time. Ashley since the show, Giselle since before. Ashley says, that's true. Karen said, I know, and I really appreciate that. And I'm here for you too, Giselle, because I know Jamal is engaged. How are you feeling about that? In her confessional, Giselle says, deflection. So then she says, I'm fine. I knew it was coming. Totally. She said, I'm very happy for him. I've been telling him for years, you need to be married. Pastors and politicians need to be married. And she needs for him to stay in the good graces with new birth. Now, I'll say I had heard a little something from somebody very close to him when he first took the position. Um, that basically, because of his previous scandals, they didn't really want him at first. They wanted someone who was married with a family. They didn't want him. They couldn't handle another scandal because they had Eddie Long with his scandal with the church having to pay out. The church paid out the alleged victims, right? This is all alleged, what I'm telling you. I just know where I heard it from and I trust the source. But anyway, so New Birth couldn't handle another scandal. Now, mind you, it's not just like somebody can say, I want this person to be pastor in certain churches. There's a board, almost like the White House. They have a board for checks and balances. And the pastor may be the figurehead, but the board can decide on things. The pastor has to try to get approval through the board, right? What have you. So anyway, so the board didn't necessarily allegedly want him, but people felt like he could be a draw and bring money to the church with his basically Christian celebrity status. Because again, the church had to pay out Eddie Long, i.e., the church had to pay out the victims. So they thought they could help the church. And he has since had an influx of celebrities and all these people come in. He raises money. So when she says, so from what I understand, and again, this is alleged, what I heard, that it was a year contract, I think the person told me, for his first year to make sure there was no scandals, nothing like that. Because the church wasn't going to have it. Again, they didn't initially want him. They wanted someone married, had a family. And there were other prominent people that also applied for that position. Marvin Sapp, if y'all listen to gospel, y'all know. So even though he's not married, his wife had passed, he didn't have scandal, right? And other ones. So when Giselle says, I want him to stay in the good graces of new birth, that's what I think she's talking about, because they could very easily oust him if he has another scandal. Which part of me wondered, why, of course, he loves his new wife or what have you. I also wondered if it was because we need you to go ahead and on and get married. But anyway, so um, again, her saying that in the good graces of new birth, it just made me reflect back to this conversation that I had had. That's all alleged again. In her confessional, she said Jamal took the girls to dinner and he told them that he was going to get engaged. The producer said, what did the girls say? Giselle said the girls were a little confused because they didn't know he had a girlfriend. It went from friend to fiance, but different strokes for different folks. In the scene, Karen said, I didn't even know. Why didn't you tell me? Giselle said, to be honest with you, I didn't even think about it. That's Jamal's life. I want the best for him. I want him to be happy. Karen said, the bottom line is, I want you to be happy. It's your time now. Giselle said, I'm happy. Karen said, I mean, Giselle, I want you to find that partner. Giselle says, I'm not looking for marriage. I want to have fun with somebody and rock out. That's it. Karen said, are you praying for him? Because you're going to need prayer. Because I'm tired of seeing boyfriends. I mean, it's like changing draws every day. And they just kind of laugh and move on. I do know that his daughters were at his wedding and they looked happy. And Giselle has said that the girls were happy. Somewhere else I saw she said the girls were happy. So Wendy and her family are out celebrating her daughter Cameron graduating from pre-K and her son Carter graduating from elementary school and going to middle school. So they start talking about her 40th birthday party. Wendy asked everyone, are they ready? Eddie said, I'm excited about this beautiful party, this all white party. Her mom says, I know I may show up in a different color. It's like a mom showing up in what looks like a wedding dress the day of her daughter's wedding or son. Um, Wendy said, please do not come there with anything else but white. In her confessional, Wendy says she loves the color theme and she loves celebrating her birthday. And we see the flashbacks to her talking about her birthday in Lake Norman. Eddie said this party started out as an idea baby and it turned into a second wedding. Wendy's mom said, is that why I didn't get my allowance this month? Wendy said, well, mom, since that's all you care about, and it looks like she Venmoed her $500. Wendy's mom said it was 4 days late. So in her confessional, Wendy says, in Nigerian culture, parents raise you, but the expectation is that when you get older, you will take care of them. My mom does not care about any of my expenses. Maybe, baby, if Susan had it her way, Susan would always get an allowance. Always get an allowance. So Wendy talks about them inviting Eddie's side of the family, his siblings, as well as his parents. She said, but she's kind of bummed because she wanted the whole family there. But Eddie's siblings only trust their children in the care of the parents to babysit. So it's going to be either or. If the siblings come, the parents won't be able to come because they'll be watching the kids. If the parents come, the siblings won't come because no one will be there to watch the kids. So Wendy's mom says, I don't trust those people, and you know why. As much as they have denied you guys of the attendance of your event, especially your wedding, let them find a babysitter. This is the United States of America. This is just only for 4 hours. I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, I do get if you're only used to leaving your children with family and then to say this is the United States, yes. But just to have anybody watching your child is a no. So Eddie said, well, at least my siblings can come. They say time heals all wounds. This is the first time we will all be in the same room. In her confessional, Wendy said, this is the road we've been on for over a decade. They show a flashback, of course, of them talking about Eddie's parents not being at the wedding. They weren't there for Eddie when he graduated law school and never met her kids. Wendy says it's gone on too long. And she said her biggest concern is whether Eddie's parents will come and if they will come in peace. So in the scene, Eddie says, well, I think it's going to be a good time. I think it's the first of many. I wonder how Eddie feels when they're talking about his parents and his siblings, like Wendy's mom, because yes, we know they opted not to be a part of his life. And I remember, again, when that happened, people were blaming Wendy, like going in on Wendy as if it was her fault. And I was like, y'all just want any excuse not to like Wendy. Certain people were. But I do wonder how he feels when her mom is like, I don't trust them. I don't trust those people. Because he may be thinking in his mind, at the end of the day, that's my family. But then also at the end of the day, they are wrong. So I just wonder like how he feels about all that. So they do a toast. They joke about the kids having to get a master's degree if they want their trust fund. Wendy's mom does a prayer about their success and their future and says, Holy Ghost fire. She says, I pray success upon their lives. If you succeed today, I will succeed and you will be sending me my monthly allowance. It was cute. Child, we have seen of Ashley and her sons arranging flowers. Her mom comes over to talk about her health and evidently the no good man that she's with allegedly. And Ashley's kids is climbing all over everything, child, and hollering and screaming. Moving on, we're at Jazzy's event at the Willard. Y'all remember when Monique was rapping at the Willard at High Tea or something? You don't have a home? I have 4 homes. The ladies are arriving. Giselle meets Ink, and she says to him, I heard things are going well between you and Gordon. Ink says, yeah. Mia said, let me tell you. So when we're all together, there's nothing but love. Giselle said, this is so tricky to navigate. Ink kind of says, if he's operating with love and truly loves his kids, he will understand that that's all we're trying to do is make sure the kids' happiness is a high priority over everything. That's what matters most. I have my thoughts about Ink and the children, but we'll talk about that at the end of the episode. So Kay comes in with her man and Jazzy said, now mind you, Ink is short. Kay comes in with her man. Jazzy says in her confessional, I don't want to height shame people, but another one who is basically a little shorter than we would have thought. All the men are in a circle. Eddie's introducing them all. The women are in a circle. And Kay says to Mia, so I want to clear up some things that were said in Lake Norman. It was said that my man's a drug dealer, which is very disrespectful to him because he's not. Mia said, you didn't deny it. You said my ex-man or my new man. Kay said, you said your boyfriend is a drug dealer. That's what you said. So Giselle steps in and says, so let me just, she says to Mia, so let me just say that for that man over there, that's detrimental to put out if he's not. You know what I mean? Mia said, he's not. It was the other boyfriend was. Mia was like, he's very much a social worker. We can tell. She then says to Kay, okay, I'm sorry. Giselle said, so we're good. We got that handled. It's funny because I know that Giselle watches her Carlos. I guess she watched Carlos when he was reviewing the past seasons and how bad they were and his disappointment in Giselle and how Giselle should take a note from Nene and like gather the girls, make sure the girls resolve things. And it's funny because we see that being done this episode. Like the real HBIC can have her things with the girls, but ultimately bring all the girls together. And we see that with Giselle now. And she didn't like him saying that, I guess, but here we are seeing it. Anyway, in comes TJ and Stacy. He was telling her legs look good as she walked in. Wendy and Eddie are standing there, and Stacy and TJ come. They do introductions, and Wendy says this to Eddie. This is Stacy's man, and he said, "That's right." Claim. He said, "That's right." Claim that baby, and gives Wendy a high five slash pound type of thing. Child, in her confessional, Wendy said, "TJ is exactly everything I thought he would be. The moment I met TJ, I knew immediately that man is not sexually active." I said, Wendy, Wendy. He then gave Ashley a hug. And of course, Ashley kicks into overdrive and is like, Stacy shared that you guys were friends. And TJ says, yep. And like, no funny business ever. Basically, when they met and we just got closer. And I wondered if he was saying that for the camera because when they met, Stacy was married. Now she's in the process of a divorce. So when he says no funny business, like itching on my side here, y'all. Um, so he says, yeah, no funny business ever. And we just got closer. So Eddie says, great relationships often start with a friendship. TJ said they have to because after that, it's just physical. And after that, it's like, well, I'm bored. So Ashley kind of makes a face in her confessional. She goes, Mayday, Mayday. Now, look, I can kind of see what he's saying. If you jump into the physical first, you may end up getting bored because you didn't get to know her intellectually. But again, I think because it's coming from TJ, who seems to clearly not have an interest in Stacy like that, it's like Ashley said, Mayday, Mayday. In the scene, Ashley asked TJ, what do you guys like to do together? Mind you, Stacy had answered that when they all went out before, and she said they work out and they go to the gym, right? She answered that a couple episodes back. So Ashley's now saying, what do you guys like to do together? And TJ said, well, how about this? We went to the zoo yesterday. Now I do like the zoo. In her confessional, Ashley says Stacy needs to run. Again, I think Stacy knows what's going on. If Stacy don't know, then yeah, maybe. But Ashley, you telling somebody to run? Okay. So at Jazzy's Super Bowl social, because that's what it was called, Darius comes in and greets everybody. He's with a teammate. I believe he's African. Prompts Targa Wanogo. I don't even want to be just say the name wrong. So, but Jazzy asked his teammate if he was single, and he says yes. And she says, "Oh, good." And Giselle's like, "You asking the heart, like, wow, you jumping right on him." So she says to him, she says, okay, good. I do have a couple of friends that are single. So I just wanted to make sure. So again, so when Darius walks in, he walked in and went right up to Jazzy and kissed her. So in the confessionals, Kay was like, okay, Jazzy, I get it. And Giselle said that arm is like whoosh and did like the muscle. And then she says, yes. So Wendy asked Darius how his visit was at the White House recently. How did it go? He said everything was good. We heard President Biden talk. That was an experience. He said it was an experience to hear him in person. He said he put on a helmet and did his speech. And he said the food was good, better than last year. I can say that. Jazzy does a toast and is up there with Darius and says, she looks good. And she says, thank you all for showing up for my amazing 3-time Super Bowl champion. She said, I would just like to say in this life, guys, what's for you is for you and no one can take it away. He says, I know that's right. She says, so cheers to my man. Did they cut some of that speech out? Had to, right? Like, was she talking about, did they not almost win? I mean, I know what happened. Because for her to say what's for you is for you and no one can take it. What led to that? I just want to say in this life, guys, what's for you is for you. Like, was that motivational? Like what is going on? I don't know. Is she sending another hint out to his kid's mother? Like, this is from what's for you is for you. Nobody can take it. Basically, here I am saying, I don't know. I just was like, something had to be cut out. So Mia walks up to Karen. Y'all know Mia ain't really my cup of tea, glass of wine, none of that. But this was funny. Mia walked up to Karen and says, Hi, Karen. Karen says, Hi, Mia. Mia says, You look beautiful. What is that, periwinkle? I don't know why that was so funny. What is that, periwinkle? Then Mia got right into it. So Giselle told me you were coming after me. You have no position to be coming after anybody, baby. Okay. Giselle said, Wait a minute. I want to talk to these two for a second because all the ladies were standing around. Let's go over here. So Mia, Karen, and Giselle sit down at the table. Now, this is funny because, again, now Giselle is getting the girls together. Now she's being the mother, and getting the girls together. So they all sit down, just those three. Giselle says, So, ladies, I'm making peace. She says to Karen, So I did share with Mia what you said. I did not add any hot sauce. I thought that was interesting because we know that Giselle outright lies, has in the past has lied. It ain't just adding hot sauce. And they've talked about that. And even Ashley said Giselle likes to add hot sauce. So it's interesting that this time she said to them, I didn't add any hot sauce. You should have never, but we're here. Moving forward, we're here. They show a flashback of Giselle saying exactly what Karen said. I said, growth, Giselle. She repeated exactly what Karen said about Mia. Either growth or she don't want to be liable about anything that's untrue. Either way, she did not add sauce. Mia says, I overdosed. Karen said, honestly, you've been coming for me. Wait. Oh, so basically, Mia is saying, I overdosed. And then, okay. Mia says, oh, I'm sorry. Karen said, honestly, you've been coming for me like white on rice. Mind you, it was just it was just those three, right? So as they're going back and forth, and Mia saying, if I overdosed, I would have no problem saying, if I went to rehab, I would have no problem saying it, blah, 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 blah. Karen saying, honestly, you've been coming for me like white on rice. It was just those three. You look up and Kay is standing right behind Karen. Like, girl, where did you come from? Mia says, I haven't been coming for you. And Karen said, that's how I feel. I thought we were friends. Mia said, yes. Mia said, yes. And then Karen said, I thought so too. I'm sorry. Mia says, I haven't been coming for you. Karen said, that's how I feel. I thought we were friends. Mia said, yes. Karen says, I thought so too. And then Mia says, but then when I hear you're saying I went to rehab, I'm like, and then Giselle said, everybody knows what was said. Mia said, if I did go to rehab, I'm woman enough to say that I went to rehab. But I did not go to rehab. I overdosed. Karen said, you went to the hospital. You look up, child, now Wendy over there too. So it went from Giselle moving those three ladies to talk to you see Kay standing behind Karen. To child, you look up after Karen said you went to the hospital. Now Wendy's over there. So Mia said, I did. And this is how I got introduced to chiropractic care. In her confessional, the producer asked how long ago was her addiction. She said it was right after Joshie was born. She had a cesarean with him. And of course, you're on medication afterwards. And she found herself addicted. She said she went the holistic route, which is why chiropractic came into play. That's what she said, which is why chiropractic came into play. Because when you get your routine chiropractic adjustments, it removes the pain that's inside your body, and so you no longer need to take medication. Karen says, so it's not too far-fetched for me to think that you were in rehab. Giselle says, you were being messy. Karen says, I know, I was returning to serve. Giselle says, can we just get past this? And Karen said, if you don't start ish with me, won't be no ish. Mia said, I'm not coming for you. I love you. Karen said, well, you love strange, girl. Mia said, my love is real. I have a lot of respect for you. I know what you're going through is really hard. I really, really do. But as a friend, sometimes your friends don't always tell you everything you want to hear. I'm not a yes friend, and you know that. Karen says, you are messy and not supportive. And this time, and by this time, all the ladies are at the table, child. Ain't no getting away from it. They're all there. Karen said, now can that change? Probably. There's always hope. I'm willing to say that you are wrong and I am wrong for going low. Giselle says, thank you. Karen said, I said that, but I will go low again. When you go low, I return the serve. Remember when they used to get on Candace for going low? Again, I just missed my candy girl. But Karen said, if you go low, I'll return the serve, honey. And again, you can't dictate someone's response when they come for you. Karen said, we know how low you go. You go as low as balls hang. Karen just be saying the ladies are like, can we just be on ground zero? Karen said, okay, we're on ground zero. She's where the balls hang low. The balls hang. Mia said, yes, I like balls. So Mia said, you know all about low balls. Karen said, no, I'm not the one. You've been on so many public balls. That don't matter. That's your profession. Go ahead. When she said that, that's your profession. Go ahead. I said, Karen, that was Kern. Maya said, yes, it is like her profession. Ashley said, sounds like you guys made progress. Giselle said, they did. In her confessional, Mia says, Karen, she needs to do some soul searching. That's what she needs to do. Okay. In the scene, Giselle tells Ashley, we have covered a lot today. Back in her confessional, Mia says, her court case is days away and I have enough in my life to deal with. So I'm going to give her a pass. Um, so uh, in the scene, Mia is walking away and Ink says, how you doing? What's going on? She said, I needed a break. He said, what happened? She said, nothing. He said, okay, good. She said, it's not worth it. And then her and them lips swallowed him all the way up. Next up, we see Karen walk into a restaurant to meet someone, and it says 3 days before her court date. She's meeting her cousin David. Karen looks good. In her confessional, she said, cousin David is very special to me. He's always been there for me. They flash back to her PSA for Surrey County. She said, it's really important to be surrounded by family at this time because they understand what I'm going through. That's what I need right now. So Karen tells David, I haven't seen you since the morning of the accident. He says, so true. So David says, I'm concerned about your stress level. And Karen says, stress is a silent killer. And I've been internalizing, and I really, really want to work through the grief that I haven't been dealing with. She said, I don't want to feel like I have to be so strong all the time. David said, you don't, though. And Karen says, but I feel like I've been strong since the taxes. She said, okay, I put my armor on and started fighting for the family. When Ray's business issues arose and the taxes, David said, yes, it was all at one time. Karen said, yes, it all hit at one time. Mommy and daddy were getting sick. She said, Ray's back was against the wall. She had to free up some cash for him. She said that sacrifice she made, what did she say? And that sacrifice, she had to make a move. It was the right thing to do, but that's where the bitterness, started. Losing mama and daddy, I moved to Virginia so that they could move in and live with her and Ray, and they never made it. She said, and I never grieved. I pushed it down. She said, in the night of the accident, I felt like it all came to a head. So I feel like what Karen is trying to do is build a case almost as to what was going on in her life for maybe sympathy or so often, while at the same time maybe saying too much because you're pretty much admitting, you know what I mean? And I think she sees that. It's like, you can't do both, Karen. She says in her confessional, I pushed it down. Wait a minute, let me see something. She said, wait a minute. In her confessional, Karen says, I hadn't taken care of grief, loss, anger, and disappointment. It all took a toll. You know, as women, we just push through. The producer or somebody in there said, why do you say those feelings came to a head? Because she's saying that night of the accident, all of her feelings of not dealing with grief, loss, anger, and disappointment came to a head. How did it come to a head? Why did it come to a head? The next words would be, she hit a tree. What she says is, Karen said, I can't say a lot. I think I've said too much already, to be honest with you. And I will fill in the dots when I can. And when I can fill in the dots, I will. So she's realizing she's trying to build this case in her defense, but at the same time, it's like, girl, you could be saying too much still. She wants us to know she's been grieving. And she never dealt with the grief of her parents and the anger and resentment that she had towards Ray. I can believe all of that. That she pushed it down and just soldiered through, just marched on. And you at the same time still went out, got drunk, and drove your car. That's just that on that. Um, in the scene, she says, that was an emotional night for me. David said, I was on the phone with you and it scared me to freaking death. So I guess she was talking to him as she was driving home. Karen says, I'm so sorry you heard the crash. He starts crying. She says, I'm sorry. She says, don't you cry. She starts crying, gets up and gives him a hug. Karen says, you know, we're blessed. Okay. I'm now focused on my appearance at court and healing. She said, I think that things happen for a reason. And so she put her faith in God and it'll be all right. That was wild though, hearing that somebody was on the phone. She was on the phone. Karen, was you holding the phone? Because that's against the law in Maryland. Or did you have it up in a phone mount? Because what if they ask you, so were you holding the phone? What if they watch this and ask you in your court date in December? Karen, listen, again, I'm going back to it's a criminal case. Karen should not be talking about it, implicate herself. I do think there's a way that she could have said that at the beginning of the season, expressed that to the ladies, and then moved on from it. Or she could have taken a season off if she truly couldn't. But we know she wasn't taking a season off, right? That's what happens when you have to deal with the repercussions of your actions, whether it's down to your job and your job is about your life. But that piece of your life you can't talk about, but we're supposed to be talking about that piece of your life. So that's what happens. Y'all, this next scene, what am I watching? I'm gonna say it off top. I didn't like this scene. I didn't care for this scene. I know we want the real and reality TV. The problem is I don't think it's real with Mia. And I've said that before. Yes, Gordon is the one that brought up the paternity of Jeremiah at last year's reunion. But however, Mia shut it down. She shut it down. I used fertility aids, da 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 da. So it couldn't be. So if you shut it down and it couldn't be at the reunion, why then now are we this season talking about paternity? I don't like it. Anyway, we see Mia's kids and Ink, and they're playing around in the house. He's asking them that they want a surprise, and it looks like they got ice cream. Jeremiah is jumping up and down in the kitchen in front of Ink, and he's like, I see you, bro. I know you want to hug me, bro. That's what it looks like. He gives him a hug. All of that to me just felt so staged. I don't with the adults in the situation, not the kids. The doorbell rings and it's Gordon. You hear his daughter yell, Daddy. Jeremiah goes to hug him, and Gordon says, get my iPad. Is it in here? In her confessional, Mia says, co-parenting to me is a top priority, but we're getting a divorce. And sometimes when there's no boundaries, it can get a little uncomfortable. It's something that we need to discuss with Gordon. So there we have it. Now, remember earlier, she told Giselle when they're all together, it's all love. That's what she told Giselle on camera. When we're all together, it's all love. It's what Mia said to Giselle. Okay. All right. They send the kids out of the room, and Gordon looks like he does not want to be bothered, like at all. Mia says, Gordon, can we have a conversation about telling the kids? Gordon said, I'm not doing it. I've already said several times, not being on camera. Ink says, I feel like I'm missing something. Gordon says, this has nothing to do with you. This is between her and I. I told Mia that I'm not filming with you. With you and I and her, and the kids are together. I'm going to be very cordial. But without the kids, I'm not interested. Mia says, Gordon. Gordon says, why are you pushing it? And she says, I'm not pushing. Oh, and Ink says, I'm not pushing. Wait, I'm sorry. Mia says, Gordon. Gordon says, why are you pushing it? And then Ink steps in and says, I'm not pushing to do anything. What I'm doing is supporting my lady. This to me is what pissed me off. We know that you're dating Ink. Gordon knows that you're dating Ink. To have this man on camera talking about co-parenting my kids, these are my children, not his. What you do when your legs are thrown to the moon, to the sky, ears up to your knees up to your ears is your business. But when it comes to my kids, we're not even fully divorced. We're just in the beginning stages. And I'm supposed to have a conversation with this dude about co-parenting my children? Absolutely not. No. Because Mia doesn't have to have Ink around the kids. And if she does, they could say that he's the friend, like she said earlier. But remember, according last year, didn't Gordon say that her kids said Mr. Ink was in the bed with mommy? So this pissed me off. Gordon Ink should have had nothing to do with this part of the conversation. I'm talking to Mia. I'm not filming with y'all and making it seem like everything is all good. But Mia had just told Giselle everything was all good. That's why I don't believe none of this that's going on. None of it. Anyway. Ink says he's supporting his lady. And you're here. He says you're here for co-parenting reasons because outside of that, Gordon, we get along. I don't have an issue with you. Mia says we have to work things out because we have to figure out what's best for our kids. Gordon said, I'm not going to do one single thing to help promote your relationship. F it. I ain't okay with it. Ink says, I don't need your promotion. Gordon says, I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you to. I'm not about it. I'm not about to enriching you all's situation. Mia said there's children involved. The fact that, and the fact is that Ink is part of our co-parenting. Gordon says, I don't care. I don't need him to be a part. Mia says, but he's around the children, so you should want to know what type of man is around the kids. Gordon said, I already know what type of man he is. When I look at him, I see a person that had adultery with my wife. I also see a person who is trying to separate my family. Ink says, nah, that's cap. That's cap. Gordon says, that's what I see when I look at him. Mia says, no. Gordon says, that's not what she said, meaning that's not what Mia said about y'all. Ink says, time out. I let you speak. What? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That got the best of me. He said, you guys were already in an expired situation. So then Gordon says, how about when you had an affair with my wife shortly after we got married? She got pregnant and had an abortion because of you. Child. I said, see this right here. Like, what? I didn't like this, y'all. I did not. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I know we're supposed to be following what's really going on in these people's lives. Again, the problem is I don't believe this is really an issue as far as the paternity of Jeremiah. And then I feel like Mia is wanting to put 20 on 10 to give her a story. And I just think the story gives me the ick. It makes me feel icky. So when he says that Mia had an abortion, Mia goes, Gordon. And Ink says, this is my first time hearing that. And the way that Gordon looked at him, Ink said, this is my first time hearing that. And Gordon was like, nigga, you lying. Like, that's the look that he gave him. Negro, you is telling a lie. He says, bullish. That's what Gordon says. But you think Jeremiah is your kid. And he says, yeah, I already told you that. Gordon says, did you have 2 affairs with my wife at least? And that's where Gordon was like, I'm about to get you. Mia must have said it happened one time when they first got married and Mia decided to not have the child. Gordon then says, so you think Jeremiah is yours? He says, yeah. So Gordon then knows, well, according to that timeline, there would have had to have been another affair that was had. Gordon is still thinking on that level. Mia is trying to talk, and Gordon is like, stop. And he asked it again, did you have 2 affairs with my wife at least? Like I said, we see where Gordon is going with this. We see. So it seems like the timelines are kind of like off. Mia says, understand the circumstances. And you and I talked about it. Gordon says circumstances doesn't matter. It either is or it isn't. So basically, Mia's like, there were circumstances going on around, I guess, the time of the other affair. And Gordon said, F a circumstance. Either you did or you didn't, because that's not what you said. Mia said, but it does matter, Gordon, because you were going through something. I had no idea what you were going through. Gordon says, was there adultery committed? Mia says, I was willing to try and make it work and stand by your side. Gordon said, you're not answering the question, so that's a yes. Mia says, listen to me. It's not fair. You know what you put me through. And it was either me or, and then she says, you know what you put me through. Mia said, what, and Gordon's like, it's normal. And she said, but what you put me through is not normal. Cha. It got quiet. Gordon says, I'm really done here. Mia says, Gordon. So Gordon says, you guys have fun. Mia calls Gordon again. In her confessional, she says, I've been in this relationship that I wanted to leave year after year. And because of his illness, I would stay in a marriage. I'm trying my hardest to give Gordon as much time as he needs, but he has to get to a point where there has to be some level of self-accountability. You know, I'm sorry. And then Mia says, I need a second, y'all. My mind is blown. And I'm guessing she's talking to the camera people for her to say, I need a second, y'all. My mind is blown. Girl. Ink says, be mindful, bro. Like, the kids are in the other room. We don't want them to hear that profanity. Ain't nobody even using profanity. Like, Tamia says she has sheltered the kids because she doesn't want the children to be privy to the adults trying to figure it out. And she says to Ink, the kids don't even know that you and I are like an item. The littles, they think that you're my best friend. If I was your best friend, she said, this is what I wanted to talk to Gordon about. And she said, you got to have an adult conversation. Ink says you got to have an adult conversation and close that chapter. And the most I can do is support you, bae. Hence my silence. He's gone off like a whirlwind. He's talking about something totally different because obviously he ain't trying to process. And then he says, I've been wiggling around him. And I'm sorry. Yeah. Ink says, wait, I'm sorry. It was Mia. I've been wiggling around him and his emotions and trying to be mindful of where he is mentally. Ink says, that's not your responsibility. Mia says, I don't know because I get concerned of like where he is mentally, you know? I have lived 11 years of this craziness. Like, you can't influence me any longer. I'm not a 22-year-old girl. I deserve happiness. I'm done. She keeps saying I'm not a 22-year-old girl as if Gordon was influencing her at 22. Timelines matter. Hashtag timelines matter. At 19, you moved to North Carolina with Ink. You said you started stripping. That would have taken you to what, 21? You said, yes, Gordon was tricking on you and some other people at some other strippers at the strip club, but you said you never slept with him, never did any of that. He co-signed for your car, but you never did anything for 2 years. Then you said he disappeared for, I think she said 2 years on Carlos King's podcast. I'm gonna keep saying it. He disappeared. And between the time he disappeared, you got married, had a child, and got a divorce. Then you said when y'all reconnected is when y'all got together. All that happened in 2 years or 3 years? Mia, stop. And that's what I mean. It's like, I know there are points that Mia does have. Also, Mia be lying. And this is why I get frustrated. My brain is not getting ready to try to go through these mental gymnastics with you to see what you're lying about and what's not. If I believe that this situation with her and Ink and Gordon was real, cool. And then trying to make Mink, huh, that's their name. Mia and Ink, trying to make Mia, Gordon, and Ink a thing on this show and like pushing it on it because it doesn't seem natural. If it was natural, Gordon would not have blown up. And maybe some can say, well, maybe he was having an episode, or maybe I don't know. I just feel like it feels so inauthentic. It really, really does to me. And I do not like it. And I feel for Jeremiah seeing this play out as he gets older because this won't go away. This is one storyline I'm not interested in seeing again because I don't think it's authentic. I think this was Mia's Hail Mary to have a story. I really, really do. I don't know, but I could be wrong. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I enjoyed this episode. I truly did. Y'all let me know what y'all think about Mia and King Gordon, about Karen, Child, she let me know we good, but if you go low, I will go low again. I will return serve. And it being revealed that David was on the phone with Karen when she had her accident. Y'all let me know what y'all think about. I was going to say Ashley, but I mean, and y'all let me know what y'all think about Jassie's Super Bowl mixer. What she call it? Super Bowl Sunday mixer, Super Bowl mixer. Her Super Bowl social. That's what it was. I love y'all so much. Again, I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed talking to y'all about it. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. Please rate, comment, and subscribe and share it too. I'll talk to y'all later. See ya.